Good morning, everybody. Thank you for your patience. This meeting of the Committee of Adjustment is being called to hear applications under the Planning Act for minor variances and/or consents. This is a statutory public meeting. Anyone having an interest in these applications may make oral or written submissions for this committee's consideration. And we did receive a few written communications, and I can confirm we have read that. And the committee will render a verbal decision this date, and the agent or applicant will receive a copy of this committee's decision in writing via email 10 days after the meeting. Each of the applications today will proceed through the same procedure. First, the planning staff will introduce the application and the recommendation outlined in the report. I will then advise the committee of any late written submissions to be circulated by the committee. Then I will ask the applicant or the agent if he or she has had the opportunity to review the staff report and whether they are in support of the staff recommendation. At that point, I'll invite any members of the public that wish to provide submissions to sit on your right and my left on the very first chair here. And then you may, if you wish, may provide oral submissions, at which point my fellow committee members and I will either ask the Met party in opposition or the applicant questions. And then finally, my fellow committee members will ask questions of city staff. And lastly, we'll eventually vote to either approve, reject, or defer the application. So the first order of business today is approving the minutes circulated for the April 16, 2024 meeting. If I can get a motion. Member Hanna moves to approve the minutes, I assume, and second by Member Gambay. All in favor of approve? So the minutes passed unanimously. Thank you. At this point, I also ask if any of my fellow members have any pecuniary interest to recuse themselves. I don't believe there are. So our first application will be A 2024-033. That's 19 Fisher Hallman. If you can please stand up on your left, that's perfect. And can staff please introduce?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance application for 1955 Fisher Hallman Road. It's a minor variance to permit a side yard setback to Fisher Hallman Road of 8.5 instead of the minimum required 10 meters. This is to facilitate the development of a recreational athletic complex in accordance with the site plan application that has been reviewed by planning staff. Staff have reviewed the variance in light of the four tests of the Planning Act, finds that it meets all four, and is recommending approval.
Thank you, staff. Can the applicant or agent state his name for the record and if he's in support of the staff recommendation?
Good morning. Darren Becks, Director of Facility Management for City Kitchener.
Thank you very much. Are there any members of the public who wish to provide comments? And I don't believe there are. So I open the floor for either a motion or some questions to my members. Yep. Member McCall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a fairly straightforward application, and the variance is minor, so I move that this be approved as per the staff report.
Thank you, Member McCall. Can I get a second? Member Gambetti, second. Any debate? All in favor of the motion? It passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Pretty uncontroversial. Can I please have A 2024-034 please come forward? That's 215 Morgan Avenue. And can staff please introduce the application?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance application for 215 Morgan Avenue. There are four variances before you this morning. All relate to a proposal for, there's a 4-unit building. The applicant would like to double the units there and create 8 units within the existing footprint. So there are 4 variances there to recognize that there are no pedestrian entrance, no facade openings on the existing building. The building is existing 10.6 meters from a railway instead of the minimum required 15. To permit a drive aisle of 4.8 rather than 6 meters adjacent to 1 parking space, and to permit parking and drive aisles to be located in the front yard, whereas the zoning bylaw does not permit this. Staff have reviewed the variances in light of the 4 tests of the Planning Act, finds that they meet all 4, and is recommending approval of all of them.
Thank you, staff. Is there any agent or applicant for the 215? Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's okay. You just sit right here on your left, the first chair, where that last gentleman sat. Sorry for the confusion. Thank you. So can you just please state your name for the record? You'll push the little mic button and the red light will turn on. And then if you are in support of the staff. Yep, there you go.
Yes, my name is Fabian Ubisi, and I'm in support of the staff.
Thank you very much. Are there any members of the public here to provide comments? Don't believe there are. Are there any questions of my fellow members? No? Don't look forward to a moment. Member Hanna?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to move the staff recommendation. I think this is an excellent intensification project. Nobody will know the difference because the building is effectively not changing and the parking's functional. So I fully support staff recommendation.
Thank you, Member Hanna. Can I get a second? Member Gambetti, second? Yeah, it's a funky lot, and that's what caused most of the variances. So I like the development. All in favor? Passes unanimously. So thank you for that. Can we please have the applicant for A 2024-035, that's 42 Hazel Glen Drive, please come forward, and can staff introduce this application?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance application for 42 Hazel Glen Drive. There are 3 minor variances before you this morning, all to facilitate the construction of a stacked townhouse development having 20 dwelling units, which has been reviewed in accordance with the site plan application. First variance is a floor space ratio of 0.6 to 0.75, a building height increase of 11 to 11.9, and to not require any private patios for the ground floor units, whereas the zoning bylaw requires these. Staff have reviewed the variances, the 3 in light of the 4 tests of the Planning Act, finds that they meet all 4 and is recommending approval.
Thank you very much, staff. Can the agent or applicant state his name for the record if he's in support of the staff recommendation?
Good morning, Daniel Rosu, in support of the application.
Thank you, Daniel. Are there any members of the public here that wish to provide comments? Don't believe there are. So did we want to ask any questions of the applicant or agent? Yep, Member McCall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just maybe a quick question either to staff or the applicant. Why no ground floor patios? I mean, this is a great opportunity with what I'm looking at here that there could easily be patios facilitated.
Yes, I can answer that. So the units are designed to be on 2 levels. The living area would be on the main level and the bedrooms would be on the lower level. Just given the setbacks and the building footprint, there's not enough room without encroaching into the front yard there. And I don't know how well it would function from the bedroom and if people would like that, and purchasers would like that or not. So it's just a design choice.
Yeah, Member Hanna, I'm confused.
Just to confirm, I read it that you will have balconies for all the units. It's just on the upper levels, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Wait, just so I can understand, every unit will have a balcony. Okay, thank you. That was my question. Any motion or further questions? Member Hanna?
I'm prepared to make the motion to support the staff recommendation. Again, I think this is an excellent intensification project and looks like it's going to be fully functional.
Thank you, Member Hanna. Can I get a second? Member Gambetti on the second. And thanks for the question, Mr. Hanna and Mr. McCall. Clear my confusion. All in favor of the motion on the floor? And it passes unanimously. Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we need to mention Confederation or we're just good? Just skip. And can we please get the applicant for A 2024-037 please come forward? That's 67 Blucher Street. And can staff introduce this application?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance application for 67 and 71 Blucher Street. There are 3 minor variances before you this morning. These are to facilitate the development of 2 buildings for stacked townhomes, each having 8 dwelling units. And again, this has been reviewed in accordance with a site plan application. The 3 variances before you are a front yard variance of 4.49 instead of 6.62, a rear yard of 3.2 instead of 7.5, and a floor space ratio of 0.75 instead of the maximum permitted 0.6. Staff have reviewed the 3 variances in light of the 4 tests of the Planning Act, finds that it meets all 4 and is recommending approval.
Thank you, staff. Can the applicant or agent state her name for the record if she's in support of the staff recommendation? I just need you to push the little microphone button. Yeah, sorry
Sorry
about
about that.
It's confusing.
My name is Kristen Barrisdale from GSP Group. We are the agents acting on behalf of the property owner, and we are in support of staff recommendation. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public who wish to provide submissions? I don't think there are, so I open the floor to my fellow members. Member Hannah.
Just a quick question. I think there's a 4-unit kind of conventional townhouse on the property now. How are the existing tenants going to be accommodated during construction?
Through you, Mr. Chair, so the existing 4 residential units, the townhouses, are actually vacant at this point, as are some of the existing, there's a row of 10 townhouses as well. Some of those are vacant. The intent is that there have been renovations and improvements that are being done on the existing 10 townhouse units, and then the 4 along Blucher Street will be demolished to accommodate the future development.
Thank you. Any further questions? Yep, Member Gambetti.
Yeah, I just have a comment. I like to see the bicycle parking. I think 1 per unit is a nice rate. We're a little bit lower than that, but I appreciate the bicycle parking. Thank you.
Thank you. Any motion? Member McCall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The variances are fairly minor in this. I like the idea of an infill development. We're in need of those, and I think this is a great application, so I will move that this be approved as per the staff report.
And second by Member Hannah, and I reflect the comment. So all in favor of the motion? That passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we please have the applicant for A 2024-038, that's 32 Montana Crescent, please come forward? And can staff introduce the application when they're ready?
Yes, thank you, Chair. These are minor variances for a property at 32 Montana Crescent. The intent of the variances is to facilitate the construction of an additional dwelling unit detached in the rear yard of the subject property, and the additional dwelling unit is proposed for the semi-detached dwelling unit existing, for a total of 3 dwelling units on the subject property. Staff have reviewed 5 variances, all for the proposal. 1 to permit a building floor area of 122 instead of the maximum 80, lot width of 7.3 instead of the required 13.1, building height for a shed roof 4.5 to 4.8, an unobstructed walkway to be 0.94 meters at 1 pinch point instead of the required 1.1, and then to permit a deck on the detached additional dwelling unit being set back 1.4 instead of the required 4 meters from that rear lot line. You will see variances also to zoning bylaw 2019-051 as amended by bylaw 2024-074, and that was the bylaw that was done to enable 4 dwelling units on all properties in the city. That bylaw is not yet in effect, is anticipated at the end of May, but the variances are required to be considered to that bylaw as well. Staff have reviewed the variances in light of the 4 tests of the Planning Act, finds that it meets all 4, and is recommending approval.
Thank you, staff. Can the agent or applicant state his name for the record and if he's in support of the staff recommendation?
Robert Davis, I'm the applicant, and I'm in support of the staff report.
Thank you, and I would like to confirm to the members of the public, we have received your written comments, and if there's anyone here to provide oral submissions, please step forward. I don't believe there are, so I open the floor to any questions or comments. Applicant, Member Hannah.
Just had a couple of quick questions for staff, and I think I'm getting better up to date with the new bylaw. I think the only difference, or the only 2 that I can see between what's existing and what the 4-unit project would do is this would not require a variance for the size of the unit anymore, and the lot width would still be required, but it would be slightly less.
That is correct.
Okay. Just had a quick question for the applicant as well. I generally don't have any problems at all with the application, but when I was by the site on the weekend, the walkway that you're going to construct into the rear yard, there is a set of 2 risers going up to the porch. Did you have an intent to provide risers coming off the porch going down as well?
Yes, that was suggested by city staff. to run the walkway that direction, so I'll be adding risers.
Okay. Just a quick question back to staff then. Do we have to modify anything to require that? Because it kind of just shows a walkway, but it doesn't show any of the risers currently? Or are you satisfied that they're going to be constructed that way?
Staff is satisfied that it will be constructed. That'll be reviewed as part of the building permit application in terms of getting occupancy of the dwelling unit.
Any further questions? Or, Member Hanna, do you want, sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to move the staff recommendations for both bylaws, and I do have a couple of comments to make when the time comes.
Can I get a second? Member Gabady, second, thank you. You know, my comments might be what you're gonna go, Member Hanna, but, you know, these walkways beside the driveway, I don't know if what you're getting at, maybe you can give me assistance.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I started off on a negative on this application, but the more I got into it, the more I realized this is something that obviously City Council and its wisdom is moving towards. Unfortunately, this lot is a pie-shaped lot, and that's why they're having to deal with a lot width. The Planning Act now requires 3 parking spaces to be tandem, which I don't 100% agree with, but at least they'll get 3 parking spaces. The issue with the height and the size, there's going to be no impact for abutting neighbors, so I just want to reflect the neighbors that I did read their comments, and I know there seems to be some property standards issues with this particular application, but it's on the surface, that's not something we particularly deal with, so those are my comments.
Thank you, Member Hanna. Any further comments? Yeah, Member McCall?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Very quickly, I agree with my colleague. It's unfortunate that we seem to get a lot of property standards concerns, which is outside of the scope of this committee. Having said that, it would be better if there weren't complaints from neighbors, but the facts are what they are. So I'm in support of this application, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Member Gall. You know, just a comment for this committee. You know, Member Hanna's gotten me kind of on the wide driveway concern over the past year or so, and you know, what are you going to do with the sidewalks? People are going to park where they want to park, but I just kind of wish city staff would kind of highlight that a little bit better. Besides just a comment that says, "Oh, don't worry, they won't park there when it's constructed." But anyway, all in favor of the motion on the floor? Oh, unless Member Gandhi had a comment too.
Yeah, just for a little bit of clarification as to
Yeah, of course.
what you two are talking about. They're building a walkway right beside the driveway, and you're concerned that they're going to park on that. Yeah. I mean, my first thought is bollards, but I don't think we can require that.
What are you going to do? So, all in favor of the motion? That passes unanimously. Thank you. Can we please get the agent or applicant for A 2024-039 to please come forward? That's 114 Brandon Avenue. And can staff please introduce this application?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance application for 114 Brandon Avenue. The variance is a reduction of a rear yard setback from 7.5 to 5.5. This is to facilitate the replacement of an existing sunroom at the rear of the detached dwelling. There was a previous variance advertised as well, a side yard setback for the carport to legalize its location. Through the drafting of the staff report, we determined that that variance was not required. That setback was actually legal non-conforming with respect to, that did receive a building permit many years back. So staff removed that variance from the recommendation as it's not required. So the variance before you for the rear yard setback for the sunroom, staff have reviewed that in light of the 4 tests of the Planning Act, finds that it meets all 4 and is recommending approval.
Thank you very much, staff. Can the agent or applicant state his name for the record and if he's in support of the staff recommendation?
My name is Rob Sykanovic. I'm representing the owner, and I am in favor of the approval.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public who wish to provide oral submissions? And I don't believe there are, so I open the floor to any comments or questions. Yep, Member Gambay.
I will move the staff recommendation. Looks like it's just a pinch point in the backyard, and it seems pretty straightforward.
Thank you. A second on Member Committee's motion? Member Call, second, unless comments.
Just a quick comment,
Yeah, of
Mr.
course.
Chair. Yes, I am in support of the application. I just want it noted for the record that in the report there is some concern over the treatment of existing trees. I'm sure that will be dealt with appropriately, but having just made that comment, will second the motion.
Thank you, Member McCall. Any debate? If not, all in favor of the motion? And it passes unanimously. Thank you. Can we please have the applicant for oh my goodness. Can we please have the applicant for A 2024-040, that's 39 Turner Ave, and can we please have staff introduce this application?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance application for 39 Turner Avenue. This is to facilitate a one-story addition to an existing detached accessory building in the rear yard. So 2 minor variances are required to permit the accessory building to have a lot coverage of 18.3% rather than 15%. And, sorry, that's the only minor variance before you. Just one, and it meets all 4 tests of the Planning Act, and staff is recommending approval.
Thank you very much, staff. Can the agent or applicant please state his name for the record and if he's in support of the staff recommendation?
Yeah, Harold Noseworthy, owner for the applicant.
And in support of the staff recommendation?
Oh,
Yeah, thank you. Are there any members of the public here that wish to provide comments? I don't believe there are. So again, we'll open the floor. Yeah, Member Hannah.
Don't worry, I'm in full support of your application. I'm just curious of your hobbies. It's an awfully large accessory structure.
I'm a carpenter by trade. I do some minor woodworking for my personal. Plus, I'm a hobbyist for four-wheel drives and ATVs and snowmobiles. So it just requires space.
On that note, Mr. Chairman, if there's no other comments, I'm prepared to move the staff recommendation.
Thank you. And then Member McCall, comment or second?
Both, Mr. Chair. I understand the importance of hobbies, and that's quite nice to hear that. It is interesting that the accessory building is going to be larger than the primary building. I think we've got terminology confusion there. Just again for the record, there's a Metrolinx comment in here, which we don't really pay much attention to these days. But other than that, I will second the motion as it is. I think this is going to be a good development, and have fun with your ATVs and your snowmobiles. And
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, just so I can understand, the motion is, we're putting the staff recommendation, which is no Metrolinx. Sorry, you got me a little confused. Okay.
And just to, the comments from Metrolinx were actually advisory and not a requirement this time. Yeah.
Thank you. Then got a little confused. Sorry, Member McCall, and thank you, staff. All in favor? And it passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we please have the applicant for A 2024-041, that's 133 Max Becker Drive, please come forward, and can staff introduce this application?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance application for 133 Max Becker Drive. This is to permit an exterior side yard of 4.2 instead of the required 4.5. And this is to facilitate the construction of a 2-story addition onto the existing detached dwelling. Staff have reviewed the variance in light of the 4 tests of the Planning Act, finds that it meets all 4, and is recommending approval.
Thank you, staff. Can the agent or applicant state their name for the record and if they're in support of the staff recommendation?
My name is Janet Rowland, and I am in support of the staff recommendation.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public who wish to provide comments? I don't believe there are. And then I open the floor for any questions. Yeah, Member McCall.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is a very minor 4.2 versus 4.5, so I have no problems with the application, so I'll move that this be approved.
Thank you. Can a second, or Member Gambetti second? Thank you. Any comments or debate? Well, I'll get going. I'll be the contrarian for once. I'd like to just remind the committee that impact isn't numbers. It is the visual impact. And to be frank, I'm usually a pro-addition guy, but I think the impact, it's a funky shaped lot, and I'm actually not in support of this recommendation, but I don't think I'm going to get much friendly advice on this committee, so I'll put it to a vote unless Member Hannah had any comments.
I'm gonna counter your argument there. I think this is an exceedingly well-designed addition. They've basically met the 4 tests by trying to meet the intent of the bylaw as far as the setback goes. I mean, the interior layout of the unit is actually marvelous, so I'm going to fully support.
So we're going to put it to a vote. So all in favor of the vote, or the motion, so McCall, Gambetti, and Hannah in favor, and then Pateman opposed. So thank you, the application is approved. Can we please get the applicant for A 2024-042, please come forward. That's 125 Seabrook Drive, and can staff please introduce this application?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance application for 125 Seabrook Drive. There are 2 minor variances before you this morning, and this is to zoning bylaw 85-1. The first variance increase in the gross leasable space of 1,932.5 square meters instead of the maximum 999 square meters, and to permit a gross leasable space for a convenience retail outlet to be 555 square meters instead of the maximum 225 square meters. These 2 variances will facilitate the development of a commercial plaza with a specialty grocery store, which has been reviewed in accordance with the site plan application. Staff have reviewed the variances in light of the 4 tests in the Planning Act, finds that it meets all 4, and is recommending approval.
Thank you, staff. Can the agent or applicant state their name for the record and if they're in support of the staff recommendation?
Good morning. Nick Bogart, MHBC Planning, agent for the applicant. We've reviewed the staff comments and recommendation and have no concerns.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public here that wish to provide comments? Don't believe there are, so I'll open the floor for any questions or comments. Member Hannah?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just had a quick question for staff. I think, well, obviously a grocery store is being proposed, but the definition, there is no definition anymore of grocery store in the zoning bylaw. That's why you're using the convenience retail outlet definition?
Yes, this property is still in 85-1. That doesn't define a lot of the permitted uses.
Thank you very much.
Any further comments or questions? Yeah, Member Gambetti?
Yeah, I just have a quick comment. Like a previous application about bicycle parking. I'm really happy to see bicycle parking available in a lot of the residential applications that we're getting. I haven't seen very many commercial applications so far. I think I would like to see more bicycle parking in both. It's great to have somewhere to keep a bike at home, but if you can't lock the bike up when you go to the store, it's a little harder to use your bike. I appreciate what's there, but it's, as someone who bikes when I can and when it's convenient, it feels a little bit bare minimum, I guess, but I'm still in support of the application.
For my fellow members, we did a parking variant, or it's bike parking for a mall on Ottawa Street just before Member Gambetti joined this committee. Am I remembering that properly? I think it was, yeah. So we've seen it before, just before you've joined the committee. It was Stanley Park Mall. Yep. Yeah, it was. Thank you. Okay. Any further questions other than my slow comments? No. I look forward to a motion then. Member McCall?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm prepared to move this, but just a quick comment. Having been on this committee for a while, there are more and more bicycles appearing in all developments, not just residential, and I think just from the standpoint of climate change, that's a good thing. So having said that, and I think probably as time goes on, we'll see even more and more of it. I agree with my colleague's comment that, yeah, it's nice to have bicycle parking at home, but if you're going to go to the grocery store and buy hot dogs, you really need to have a place to park that bicycle when you get there, and I think that is being addressed through the city staff and planning requirements, so I think that's a good thing. So I move that this be approved, Mr. Chair.
Member Gambetti, second. Thank you. Any debate? No? All in favor of the motion? It passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just at Seabrook. Can we please have the applicant for B 2024-008, that's 7 Upper Mercer Street? Can staff correct me?
Yes, this
All
is a consent application
Yeah.
for 7 Upper Mercer Street. There are 2 units here that have merged in title. The application is to permit them to be dealt with independently before you. So staff have reviewed this application in light of the provincial, regional, city policies as it relates to consents and finds that it meets all of those and is recommending approval.
Thank you, staff. Can the agent or applicant state his name for the record and if he's in support of the staff recommendation?
Jeff Reitzel, yes, in support.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public who wish to provide comment? Don't believe there are. Open the floor. Any comments? Any questions? No? Applicant, any comments? No? So, look forward to a motion then. Yep, Member Hanna?
Sounds like this was a legal boo-boo where 2 property owners merged, so let's put it back the way it was before. I will move the staff recommendation.
And Member Gambetti, second. Thank you. And the lawyer's comments is speak to a lawyer before you buy a property. So, all in favor of the motion? The motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then finally, can we please have the applicant or agent for B 2024-009 and A 2024-043, that's 500 Stauffer Drive, please come forward, and can staff introduce these consent and variance applications?
Yes, thank you, Chair. The consent application before you is to sever a parcel of land for 500 Stauffer Drive. The parcel would be used as a future servicing block to facilitate lands on the west side of future Strasbourg Road. The block would require a minor variance because the zoning bylaw only recognizes the existing lot width as the permitted lot width. So that's the variance before you to recognize the proposed lot width of this new block. Staff have reviewed that variance in light of the 4 tests of the Planning Act and finds that it meets all 4. And staff have reviewed the consent application, notes that it meets all provincial, regional, city policies, and is recommending approval subject to a number of conditions.
Thank you very much, staff. Can the agent or applicant state his name for the record and if he's in support of the staff recommendation?
My name is Walter Pfeiffer, and I have some questions before I support that.
Yeah, we welcome any comments, so hopefully we can help you out.
Okay, on this, it says here, the land to be retained will have an approximately lot width 750 meters, a lot depth varying 518, consists of an acreage of 39.4 hectares, which is 97.36 acres. But it says in the bracket, block 1 on severance plan. This one is not on block 1, it's on block 3.
Block 1 is the retained land, and Block 2 is the severed land. Can staff help us in that?
Yeah, there was a previous severance plan showing 3 blocks, but the 3rd block related to the block on the other side of future Strasbourg Road, and that block had already been created as a result of the dedication of Strasbourg Road. So the application was revised after it was submitted to remove this as a block of retained land, so there may be some confusion. The drawing before you is correct, that there are just 2 blocks.
Just 2 blocks. Thank you. Sir, did that? I appreciate because of the road dedication. Does that clear up the confusion, or?
Pardon?
Does that clear up the confusion?
Yeah, but the retaining land is 39.4 hectares, which is block 1 and block 3 together, right? Or is it block 3?
Yeah.
Block 3 is no longer part of the application. It was already created through the dedication of Strasbourg Road.
Right, but it says retained. The retained land is 39.4 hectares, which is not in block 1, it's in block 3. Right? Pardon?
Are you referring to part 3?
Yes.
Part 3 is referenced as block 1 now on the severance sketch, and it's 39 hectares.
the future road runs through the retained lands, if I'm reading that correctly, and if we're treating it just as one parcel for this application, because I understand it's been revised.
So block 2 are going to give up to the city then?
Correct.
Yeah.
And is there any compensation for that?
No, it's dedication to Activa. It's a conveyance to Activa, not the city.
Oh,
okay.
sir, are you the applicant or are you opposition?
I'm the owner.
The owner? Okay, sorry, we're just a little confused. So, sir, sorry, the gentleman in the gray, and your counsel or planner? Sorry.
I'm Pierre Chauvin, the applicant with MHBC Planning.
Okay, so sir, okay.
Okay, then I'm...
That's okay, no, it's okay. It's a confusing setup. Can we hear from the gentleman in the gray suit, and then we'll go back. It's okay. So can Madam Clerk, I apologize for the confusion. Can the minutes reflect the applicant, the gentleman in the gray suit that I missed your name, and I apologize for that, sir.
Yes, it's Pierre Chauvin with MHBC Planning.
Mm-hmm. And then, are you in support of the staff recommendation?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. And then the gentleman again in orange is opposition, or comments, I guess. Owner.
I'm not sure. I didn't get the full name.
I can talk to him, so it's
Yeah.
okay.
I'm at a complete loss.
My
Member
understanding that I think this is, I didn't get your full name, Walter, is your last name? Pfeiffer, right. So he's representing the estate of the Rakowski estate.
Yeah.
So it's actually an estate that owns it.
Okay.
And so there may have been perhaps a confusion in an earlier iteration of a plan that he might have seen, and he hasn't seen this latest iteration.
Yeah.
And so that's probably reason for the confusion. I'm sure Walter and I can speak afterwards and clear this up.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate
Apologize for coming in late. I saw myself at the agenda being but you moved quickly through the agenda, obviously, so I thought I'd have a bit more time, but here I am, and, but, yeah.
That's okay. Staff, if you had any comments, something to clear up the confusion, or let Tina go first, sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so when the original application came in, there were 3 blocks on the plan. So there was a severed parcel, which is shown as Block 2 on the plan you have, and then there were 2 retained lands, Block 1 and Block 3, which is the lands on the other side that would be serviced by this Block 2. We determined that there wasn't a retained land parcel because it had already been created through the dedication of Strasburg Road.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Member Hannah, your comment.
Yeah, I just had a couple of quick questions for the applicant, just so I can clear this up myself. So you don't have a problem with conditions 5 and 6, because I would have felt that would have been dealt with normally through the plan of subdivision, which obviously is connected here. So in order to get this consent, you're going to have to do an archaeological investigation on that little piece.
Yeah, great question, and I apologize, I missed that. We do have an issue with those particular comments. My understanding, staff was not going to include those. That's why I totally agree. Those are matters that should be dealt with and will be dealt with through plan of subdivision, which these lands will go through at some point.
I'm glad you're clarifying this for me, because I thought you would have opposition to those 2 conditions. So that's clear. You would prefer that we approve this without those 2
Certainly,
conditions.
discussions I had with staff at the time said they indicated they weren't going to include the region's conditions, and so it was on that basis that I had not really had a concern. But seeing them here, I do have a concern with that.
Staff, did you have a comment?
Yes, in talking to the file planner, advice was given that we need to go to the region to have this condition deleted. It is a regional condition, and staff do not have the authority to waive it. It would be the region that would need to give you that authority to waive that condition. What I can suggest is that the words "if necessary" be included in the condition, and that way that's between the applicant and the region.
I like that recommendation, so. Yep, Member Hannah?
I certainly, I don't think that will really cover it, knowing how the region works. I think it's premature to be asking for this information. We're just trying to facilitate the sale of these lands. And the sale needs the servicing corridor. That's all this is about, is really just getting this part conveyed to Activa so that these lands are serviceable and that we can purchase these lands as originally intended. We are fully expecting that we'll have to go, what we have to go through. We're engaged with the city doing a secondary plan right now for this whole area, and nothing will happen until that secondary plan has to get approved. And then on top of that, we'll have to go through rezoning and a plan of subdivision where all these same conditions will be applied. To me, it's really premature to be dealing with this at this point in time. And I do believe the city has the authority to, yes, these are the region's comments, they're a commenting agency, but they'll have another kick at the can. And I believe you do have the authority to not require these conditions. And I think little words like that won't cut it. Having been in this, doing this for a long time, just won't cut it.
Yeah, Member Hannon?
Just another quick clarification then. Block 2 is being added where? Help me out with the sketch I see on figure 3. Where is Block 2 being added?
So Block 2, if you've got the severance sketch in front of you, it will just be a block, a standalone lot, because it's separated by the new realigned Strasburg Road. So it'll be a block that's legally conveyable, but really the intention is for a servicing corridor. In the fullness of time, we would hope that the city would take ownership of that, but at this point in time, the city hasn't indicated any willingness to have that lands, but really it's just going to be a block that's owned by Activa in order to help service the lands on the other side of Strasburg Road, which I believe there was a figure in the staff report.
I'm looking at figure 3 in the staff report. So how does Block 1 fit into this situation?
So Block 1 is all of the retained lands. So those are the lands owned by the Rakowski estate, and those are designated for as a heritage landscape and will not be developed. And Block 2 is a small sliver of land that also is owned by the Rakowskis currently, and just so happened to have been part of lands that were part of the old realignment of Strasburg Road and were recently reconveyed back to the Rakowskis as surplus lands because of the new aligned Strasburg. But as we got into the detailed analysis and servicing of these lands, it was discovered that the trunk sewer that is coming down Robert Ferry Drive, rather than coming through the new roundabout that's been built, it will have to be diverted through the Sunvest REIT subdivision to the east, and then through this block. And you can see an outline of, it's not labeled on here, but the lands that the Rakowskis also own. There's a portion east of Strasburg Road. It's a rectangular piece. If you see on that figure, it says Part 2 Plan 58R. It's underneath that block land is underneath that number. So it's a rectangular piece that's bounded by the woodlot to the east and north. And that is lands that are being, they're a separately conveyable piece. So we didn't have to get a consent for that, and that's why it's not before you today. But because of it was a separately conveyable piece by virtue of the new alignment of Strasburg Road. And so that is the piece of land that Activa is purchasing. And that block, the Block 2, which is also owned by Rakowski, is the servicing connection. Does that help clarify?
It does a little bit. I just have a quick follow-up for staff as well, just to justify me removing these conditions. That Part 5 and Part 4, which is the alignment of what used to be Strasburg Road, is it an unopened road allowance?
It is showing in the ownership of the city of Kitchener at the moment, but it's no road there currently.
Okay. I'm still going to, when the time comes, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to, whatever recommendations on the table, I would like those two conditions to be waived. I understand why this applicant is asking for this particular consent, and it makes no sense in my mind to require these two conditions to be fulfilled now when there's a plan of subdivision coming.
If I may, I have just emailed the regional staff right now to see if I can get an answer. Staff has no authority to waive the condition, planning staff. It is a regional condition. I have also been reminded of the administrative agreement between Committee of Adjustment and the region, where if we do disagree with regional conditions, we need to defer the meeting and get their okay to waive conditions.
The comments are received, staff. I think just being the awkward chair, we'll have to enter debate to discuss it. So again, when we get a motion on the floor, so then you don't have to vote for the motion even if you move it. I remind my fellow members that. So can we please just enter debate? Member Gambetta?
I will, for the purposes of debate, I will move the staff recommendation.
Thank you. And can I get a second for debate, of course? Member McCall, thank you. I'm going to defer to staff. You know, I just retained an archaeological assessment in Niagara region just the other day. It's not outside the scope of our planning consultant friends, and the last thing I want is us to get caught in a limbo. I'm going to take the staff advisement and include these conditions because it just seems less burdensome in my opinion. But I appreciate heads differ. Member Hanna.
Yeah, I would prefer that the conditions not be there. We have included in the past an if required, which seemed to work out because that will allow this applicant to go to the region and get on his hands and knees and beg. Because I just, regional planning staff from time to time just look at their little cookie cutter book and not look at the actual application. And that's what concerns me. So if the motion is on as it is now, I will not be supporting it. If there's a friendly amendment to say if required, I probably will support it.
I would vote for that friendly amendment. So, Member Gambetta?
I'm happy with an amendment for if required. I'm also happy to defer as the staff recommended. Either is fine by me.
Yes, thank you, Member Hanna. So, Member Hanna, for Madam Clerk, can you please outline the two conditions that we are doing a friendly amendment for? It should be 5 and 6, if required on both 5 and 6, and we'll wait for a thumbs up from Madam Clerk. We got the thumbs up. So, on further debate, I appreciate, heads may differ, but it's nice then when we come together. So, all in favor of the amended motion? The amended motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Unless Member Gambetta had a comment. Sorry, Member Gambetta.
And just to clarify, the amended motion is if required.
If required for number 5 and 6.
I support.
Thank you. So the application is approved as amended. Finally, I look forward to my favorite motion of the day. Member Hanna?
Make a motion to adjourn.
And can I get a second? Member McCall got his hand up first. So all in favor of ending the meeting? Passing. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody.